We'd like to begin this podcast by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today, the Whadjuk Noongar people, and pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. Talking Couch Potatoes is sponsored by Sprinkles and Sprouts, delicious food made with grocery store ingredients. Visit sprinklesandsprouts.com. Maleficent, here we are again. It's episode 66 of Talking Couch Potatoes.
Hi, Maddie Matt.
What do you think? 66?
It's good.
Is it a portentous number? Do you like that word, portentous?
What does it mean?
Portent of things to come. Some numbers have significance because they're aligned 6-6, like 666 for the devil. The racing industry
So what is
would be 666. 66 could be the one that counters the devil.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Let's
So
hope.
it's, episode 66. We've been away for a while, so welcome back, everyone. Sorry, we've missed you. I hope you've missed us.
Yeah, we were just had the bomb.
What did we have?
The bomb.
What was the bomb?
No, well, you know, when you're just tired and fed up, and
Okay.
this industry, or no,
This so-called sport, this exploitative...
speaking out against it
Yeah,
can
yeah.
absolutely drain you.
I know. I've seen you age terribly since I've known you, Mel.
Thanks, Matthew. Same can be said for you, buddy. No, and you know, we had the hearing, and I lost Gigi. You and Jem
Yeah.
lost your baby girl. It's just there's just too much going on.
And a bit of a shout out to Alan.
I
too,
know.
And Indy.
He lost Indy,
Yeah.
and Julie, she lost Skippy.
Do you know what I noticed though? Right, we keep myself, Jem, Alan. We keep turning up when these things happen. We don't fall over. You just soldier on, right? Whereas the other mob, my impression is, we spoke to someone who was an ex-participant, a couple now. They don't even turn up to the morgue to pick up to the freezer to pick up their beloveds, right?
No.
They just continue making a few bucks out of it. We'll continue on regardless and age terribly as we do it, won't we, Mel?
Yep.
Yeah. And we'll get all those years back, though, when it ends.
I don't know. Well, I just hope that we get time with our houndies over the bridge later.
Yeah, we will. The inquiry's still going on. There's an estimates committee thing happened, Mel. Can I ask you a little bit about that happened recently? I know it pisses you off. It's probably you've just aged 5 years with that question.
This just sent me into a spin, and many of us too.
What can you say that's not libel?
It's just, I guess, politicians suck.
Most of them. So there's a couple of good ones. Dan Caddy's all right.
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
him. He's a nice bloke. Steve Price, he's pretty good.
Yeah.
Georgie Purcell,
Yeah,
legend.
Okay, I get your point.
Yeah.
But just the ones that seem to have the power, or not the power, but I don't know, you can have a difference of opinion without being a turd about it. And that's what gets me. Like, because we might have different views over racing, it doesn't make us wrong, and it doesn't make us idiots.
Yeah, right.
You know,
well,
everything,
it does to the pro racers.
But
No, it does. You know that, Mel, that they just think our position by definition makes us morons.
I guess. But anyway, it just, talking about greyhound racing for the budgets for this year for 26, 27 and listening.
What happened that set you off, Mel? What's upset you?
Just
Are you allowed
listening to the shadow minister speak to the minister about it, and the way that one trying to get the other to say on record that, you know, will he absolutely stand by the greyhound racing industry in WA? And then they're now at hearings, inquiry, the greyhound racing inquiry got kind of the activists' inquiry. But you know what? If they truly cared about the animals, which is what they all say, and the dogs and the welfare of them,
they would
absolutely.
They would welcome.
Both ministers would. Both ministers would be proactive about it and waiting for the results to come through. And this wouldn't have happened without the community putting their names to petitions and going through the process.
There's been no spontaneous self-activated attempts to increase welfare or to look into safety or to... They've just been rolling along, right? Yeah. I don't think I can think of one initiative that was self-activated by the industry.
It all started to happen when New South Wales got in the shit. And it continued slowly dribbling through, and then it wasn't until Free the Hounds started really getting on their back about everything, and that's when they decided.
So maybe that tells you what you need to know then, Mel, is actually they don't see us as a potential partner to help improve the sport or the industry, they might see us as obstructionists, getting in the way of profit,
absolutely.
gambling revenue.
Naively, I assume too much of people, that they're in it for the right reasons, and that when you have a conversation with someone, they will tell you honestly their position, or at least not later on go on to say something that is derogatory or
divisive.
You don't need to be unkind to have a different opinion.
Yeah, you can have a respectful conversation.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, what was his name again? Let's call him out.
The Shadow Minister.
Shadow Minister. I'm sorry, you're better at politics than me. What's the Shadow Minister for Racing and Gaming? Is that the one?
Yeah. Lachlan Hunter.
Lachlan Hunter.
And we've met with him and he's been very nice.
Right.
And then just to do that, it was just like, what the fuck?
Poor effort, Lachlan Hunter. Not happy. You upset Mel, mate. Don't upset Mel.
No, it's not just me. It's everybody else that has worked so hard. It's just like, what we do is just being annoying little flies to these people. And it's fucking not. It's helping the dogs at the end of the day.
Mate.
And that apparently is everybody's biggest concern.
This is what I've thought occurred to me recently. The other mob on the other side say they love their dogs and want the best lives for them, right? All the while making a profit from what they do with the animals and getting government funding, right? Then you got the mob on our side who love the dogs and want the best lives for them, who work their asses off, full-time jobs, right, mostly.
Yep.
Have no funding from the government.
Nope.
Work any spare hours they've got to raise money, self-funding, and put all that money back into advocacy.
Yep.
I don't know. Which side sounds like they're in it for the right reason?
Oh, I know, but we just get no help from people. It's just, anyway.
Mel.
Anyway, we'll still go on because we love the Hounds.
Yeah.
So fuck them all and, we're going to end it.
Jesus Christ.
There you go.
Mel's
Bring it on.
swearing now.
I am.
Well, you're supposed to be all calm and relaxed after the... We're just talking about how we had a break so that you could refuel yourself.
Yeah, no.
Tell you what was refueling for me was, what are the 3 things I love most in the world?
Nanas.
Yep.
Weddings.
Yep.
And bingo.
Yep. Guess what I went to a few weeks back?
Nana bingo wedding.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was great. And we
and I kissed your ring.
You did, Mel.
And you wouldn't kiss mine.
Not since our pajama party sleepovers. That hasn't happened. But we raised, it's good to have fun. It's always good to have fun, but always the fun has a purpose and a goal.
Absolutely.
And how much did we raise, Mel?
We raised almost $16,000.
Yep.
Couldn't believe it. We were not expecting anywhere near that.
That's
so
awesome.
It was just brilliant. And we're going to lawyer up or something like that now. We've got the money there and
Well, just so the pro racers listening, and we know you listen, we know you do, and thanks for listening. That's 16K. Because often they were like, oh, they just line their pockets. Where does it go, Matt? Like, do you take a salary at all?
Never.
Does any of Free the Hounds staff or volunteers get paid anything?
Not
I don't even get paid for this, and I turn up. This is hard work, Mel.
Matthew. And any bonehead can have a look at the Charities Commission website and see exactly where the money is. Right now, the money is sitting in the bank account waiting for a time that we need it. And if greyhound racing was to end, it'll go to greyhound rehoming.
Of course. No, but they say it. I've seen it a couple of times. It's, it's just a money maker, or it's,
Oh, bollocks.
Like, we've got this ulterior motive to give all of this time and energy. We don't really care about the dogs.
It's all a farce. Jesus Christ.
Which is interesting because the ones that have the ulterior motive, from my perspective, is the ones that are making a profit, mate.
Yeah.
You're making a profit. We're not. We're losing money hand over fist. Anyway, it's too early to be hepped up.
We need another break.
You know what? I want to give a quick shout out to Jem, our producer Jem, tireless worker for the Hounds, isn't she, Mel?
She sure is.
Yeah. You're having your dinner, aren't you?
Matthew tried to get me with a mouthful.
Jesus. Jem is not only a lover of the Hounds, she's a lover of all animals, and she just doesn't want us to hurt them at all. And so she is a very active vegan in the vegan community. And by the way, I've said it before, I say it again, support the vegan cause. I'm not a practicing vegan, but I'm working on it. I'll do my best to get there one day. So can we have a quick chat to Jem? Jem, you appeared on, it's a pretty big vegan podcast. It's called The Vegan Compass. So any vegans out there, check it out. It's called The Vegan Compass. How did it go, Gemma?
It was great. The hosts are Mackenzie and Rick.
Hi, Mackenzie and Rick.
Yeah, they have a look at all different types of vegan issues that are out there. They speak to people that cook vegan food, but they also speak to sanctuary owners. They speak to people at the front lines of animal activism. Yeah, so it's a really great range, much like our podcast, a little bit of
Little bit of this,
human
little bit-
interest, a
yep.
little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Yep,
Yeah.
a little bit of
So
tension between the producer and the host.
I believe that the episode with me on it is going to air on the 9th of June.
That's only 4 days away.
And
So you can listen to this, then go listen to that.
yeah, and I just addressed the state of greyhound racing at the moment across Australia nationally.
Oh, so you use the vegan compass to raise the voice for greyhounds.
Yes.
Yep. Never miss an opportunity, do you?
Yeah.
Well done, Jem. You're a champion.
Thank you, Jem.
Yeah, she's a legend, mate. We got one more thing to do before we get our guests on. We've got a great guest, actually. Again, Mel, the people you know. Oh, my
Well,
goodness.
yeah, Jem actually organised this one, but yes, I do know this person.
Yeah, Jem's unstoppable. She just does everything. She's doing cheating on us with other podcasts.
I know, right?
Yeah, not sure how I feel. I mean, I'm proud of her, but...
Yeah.
yeah.
She best save the best for us.
Yeah. Mel,
Yes.
one of my favourite segments, Foster of the Fortnight
Yeah.
by Greyhound Adoptions WA. If you want to foster, have a listen to this, mate.
Yeah. This boy, I've actually personally met him and had him in my home, and he is divine.
What's his name, Mel?
It's Fidel.
Oh, Fidel.
I know, as in Fidel Castro.
Tell us about Fidel.
Okay, and he's a little brindle boy. Fidel is sweet, gentle soul who is quickly winning hearts wherever he goes. He's very affectionate and he absolutely loves people and has happily greeted everyone he's met. And he really does. He thrives on connection and is seeking a home that offers the security and stability he craves. He can become anxious, though, when left alone and would suit a home where someone is around most of the time or they have another greyhound. He's curious and engaged, and if a cupboard opens, he's there to investigate. He enjoys being involved in daily life and happily wander over just to check that everything is okay. Despite his inquisitiveness, he also has a calm, relaxed nature and loves to snooze peacefully on the couch or in his own bed. He gets along really well with other dogs and he's harmoniously living with a mix of breeds. He's still learning some manners around sharing toys and treats, but it's just his enthusiasm rather than being pushy or aggressive. And he's really good to walk on lead. I've had the opportunity to do that. He's equally content with short strolls and some playtime at home or longer ones. So yeah, if you do have a place in your heart and your home for a gorgeous little brindle boy called Fidel, please reach out.
Brindles are gorgeous.
Yeah, they're really gorgeous. And Fidel's very handsome, very sweet boy.
And you know, the fostering part of Goa, again, for regular listeners will know this, but for those who are dipping their toe in, so supportive.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
it's just no other breed or dog or whatever, especially if you buy these,
Oh, yeah.
you're not
buy a
going to get
puppy.
any. No, you get so much support. And if it doesn't work out, they'll happily come and say, okay, thanks for trying. Here, let's try again. It's a win-win. There's no losing when you step up to fostering.
Yep.
The only losing is the foster fail,
Exactly.
because it happens all the time. Well, we're running a little bit behind time, Mel. Shall we
Yep, let's get into it.
get into... we've got an amazing guest. I'm going to tell you who it is before he even arrives. It's Dr. Jed Goodfellow. What a name. What a good fellow we've got on for the Australian Alliance for Animals. I think they're an umbrella group, Mel, for a
Yep.
bunch of animal advocacy groups.
Sort of more the people that help with the legislation and understand legislation, so trying to get people or other smaller groups to work together in order to make change nationwide.
And I did have a bit of a research. Again, we took a break, so I haven't been doing the deep dive. But they've got some really serious people involved. These aren't a bunch of dope-smoking hippies, mate.
Although we are part of it.
Yeah. All right, we'll be back soon with Dr. Jed. All right, we're back, Mel. Again, an amazing guest today. We've got Dr. Jed Goodfellow of the Australian Alliance for Animals, Director of Policy and Government Relations for the Australian Alliance for Animals. Over 20 years' experience in animal welfare law, policy and advocacy. I used to work in senior policy, prosecutorial and enforcement roles with the RSPCA across Australia. Jed's represented animals in courtrooms, parliamentary inquiries, standard setting forums, and regularly in the media. And Jed played an integral role in the campaigns to end live exports and the use of battery cages. So he gets around.
Yeah, he's brilliant.
And he's developed Macquarie University's Animal Law Unit. Again, this is intriguing to me. In 2012, and has taught the course annually for the past 10 years. And the Fair Go Animals campaign proposes a reform framework designed to build a fair and independent animal welfare governance system in Australia. So it sounds like a real voice for the creatures. And he's here with us today, aren't we lucky? Hi, Jed, how are you?
Hi, Matt. Hi, Mel.
Hi,
Great
Jed.
to be with you.
Thanks for joining us today.
This is very intriguing to me, Jed. It sounds like you're someone who's really keen on being a voice for the voiceless, for the animals.
Yeah, it's really been my entire career, to be honest. I started getting interested in animal advocacy back when I was a teenager and really, just invested in my education and career direction was all directed towards going into advocacy. So when I went to law school, that wasn't to be a lawyer. That was really just to develop the skills and knowledge to be an effective animal advocate, which I have had the absolute privilege of doing for my entire career.
Yeah, doing what you love. It took me a long time, really, to get to an understanding of the needs of animals, particularly greyhounds. For people who listen to the podcast will know that I used to go to the dogs and was a little ignorant. But for you were a teenager. What do you have a sort of an idea of what inspired you at such a young age, or do you think you just came into this world ready to go for the animals?
Yeah, look, not really, because my father was a butcher, and before that he was a slaughterman in abattoirs, and I actually grew up as a teenager working in a butcher shop. So I was making sausages and cleaning the butcher shops down. And I think one of the pivotal moments for me was when in year 10 at high school I did work experience for the local zoo in my local town. I grew up in Coffs Harbour, which is a small coastal town on the north coast of New South Wales. And so I had an interest in animals, but I didn't really know in what sort of capacity I would work with animals. And after doing that work experience program, I saw quite a lot of stuff that it really put me off working with animals and on the trajectory of working for animals in an advocacy sense, because I realised that, it wasn't just being around animals. I love being around animals as well, but it was more being a voice for them and advocating for them, which was what became my true passion.
I really like the way you phrase that, working for animals rather than with them. That really strikes a chord with me. I know you've obviously, with the Australian Alliance for Animals, Director of Policy and Government Relations. Can you tell us a bit about that, and particularly the Fair Go for Animals campaign, what role you play in that?
Yeah, well, the Australian Alliance for Animals is a relatively new organisation that I co-founded with a couple of colleagues, Dr. Betta Jones and Dr. Meg Good, about 4 years ago. So it is fairly new. We all had a lot of experience working with governments on animal welfare policy, and we were becoming quite frustrated with seeing the lack of progress. And often we would see really industry lobbyists basically taking control of the narrative and governments essentially ignoring community expectations and even animal welfare science and just siding over and over again with the interests of the relevant industry group, whether it's livestock industries, racing industries. So we were getting really frustrated with that, and we were just seeing that in that process and in those forums, we were just essentially being outgunned by the industry, and we just knew there needed to be change. We needed to take another approach, and that's why we got together with some of the leading animal advocacy groups in the country, and we said, look, how about we pool our collective resources and our collective expertise and our collective supporter bases to take a more coordinated, organised approach to government engagement, where we've got more political clout if we're all working together in a really harmonised way, and we're speaking not with one voice, but speaking with multiple voices, but on one message. And that's when you really start to get more cut through with governments, because they have so many different interest groups to deal with. They've got thousands of them. So when you organise yourselves in a particular sector and you get all of the key groups essentially the same thing or a very consistent thing, then that's when you start to have more influence with government. So that was the thinking behind formalising the Australian Alliance for Animals with our 6 wonderful core organisational members. And in terms of the Fair Go for Animals campaign, that's our key campaign that we're pursuing, and that's all about creating structural and institutional reform to the way animal welfare policy is governed in Australia. So essentially what we're trying to do there is decouple animal welfare policy from departments of agriculture and ministries for agriculture, because as probably many of your listeners would know, at the state level and indeed at the federal level, we delegate animal welfare policy functions and regulatory functions to departments of agriculture or primary industries. And those bodies have competing priorities when it comes to animal welfare and promoting productive, profitable livestock industries or other animal-based industries. So the Fair Go for Animals campaign is all about taking animal welfare policy away from departments of agriculture and creating more independent structures and governance frameworks for animal welfare in the form of independent officers of animal protection, or at the national level would love to see a National Animal Welfare Commission that would essentially take on that role of setting our national standards for animal welfare. And that could include farmed animal welfare, but also animals in zoos and aquaria. It could also include animals in sport and entertainment and racing, of course, as well. So that's, the agenda behind the Fair Go for Animals campaign. And it's really pleasing to see we've got so much support from the broader national animal protection movement behind that. We've got over 60 organisations now endorsing that campaign, which is fantastic to see.
And Free the Hounds are one of those?
Absolutely, that's right. We've got Free the Hound and quite a number of the greyhound advocacy groups on board as well, because I think, they can all see that having a more independent approach to setting animal welfare standards in all industries is going to help our efforts in all of the different sectors that we work in.
Absolutely. It's the only way to go.
A couple of things you've said there, Jed, really stand out to me. One is, in a sense, it's quite a visionary idea you've had, which is, for a long time we've realised that, to draw an analogy, workers need to unionise. When we've got powerful multinational companies or big companies, when workers unionise, they've got a bigger and more powerful voice. In a sense, what you've created is a union for the animals, a union of people who have animals' interests in mind. And the other thing that really stood out was this idea of decoupling governance and safety and welfare from the people who have a vested interest in the industry itself. I used to talk about the roosters looking after the hen house. The fox. Sorry, it's the fox. Jem's reminded me. It's not the rooster. I think the rooster would also be problematic if he was looking after the hen house. I still don't think he would have the hen's interest in mind. So they're the two things that really stand out to me. In a sense, what you're doing is where there is a dispersion and a lack of cohesive power, you're trying to build a system where the most vulnerable can then have a more powerful voice. And a part of what we've been dealing with in WA with the current inquiry into greyhound racing, we're trying to put the welfare issues firmly in the spotlight. What's your sense? You mentioned lobbyists and the power disparity. What's your sense of the political conditions in WA? Do you think they're shifting? And what do you think we need in terms of an alignment of factors to reach this goal where we stop slaughtering these beautiful creatures on the track?
Yeah, look, Matt, you just nailed it there in terms of the description of what the Alliance is all about as well. One thing I learnt when doing a PhD in animal welfare law was that the more concentrated or more organised interests are always more influential with government than diffuse interests, so those that are not coordinated effectively. And that's the theory of change essentially behind the Alliance, and just taking that very collaborative, joined-up approach to advocacy and government engagement. So when it comes to the greyhound racing debate, and look, I can't speak specifically for WA because I'm not on the ground there myself, but just looking and observing things nationally, absolutely it seems that the tide is shifting on the political appetite for continuing to support the greyhound racing industry. I mean, the fact that we're more than 10 years on now from the 2015 live baiting scandal, if you recall, back then in New South Wales, where the former Premier Mike Baird was seeking to ban the trade essentially. And of course he backflipped on that. And to me at that time, I just thought that's the end of it. No politician is going to want to touch this for the foreseeable future because it'll be considered a bit of a poison chalice. But here we are in 2026 and we've got reviews, inquiries, legislation before parliaments in multiple states, South Australia, New South Wales, Victoria, Tasmania, and of course WA, all have active, lively debates around the future of the industry, which just says to me that this issue is absolutely not going away. And really, I feel we're on the precipice of really getting this done. I feel that one more scandal for the industry is the dominoes will start to fall then. And of course, we've got the Tasmanian legislation at the moment. I know that's hanging in the balance, but it very much looks like whether the legislation goes through or not, the public funding for the industry is going to be withheld, which will probably end the industry there. And I do very much feel that is going to be essentially the beginning of the end of the industry nationally. With the live baiting scandal in 2015, I feel even though that was eventually lost, I do really feel that was a landmark event that really earmarked the beginning of the end of the greyhound racing industry in Australia. And of course, this is a long campaign, but it's going, in my view, in the right direction. The social license of the industry is pretty much shot. So, one more scandal that compels politicians to mark their colours to the mast, so to speak. I think that's when we will see governments of all persuasions starting to pull their support for the industry.
Jed, do you think that the future generations are going to be a big change in this as well? With like you said about the social licence, do you think the younger generations are going to tolerate this kind of thing? Not only, I guess, for greyhounds, but other animals as well. Have you seen a real shift there with the people that follow you or that are people that are involved in advocacy now?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do social research every few years. We commission Behaviour Works Australia to community attitudes to animal welfare, and we break it down by the age ranges, but then also where people live in Australia, whether they're urban residents or in regional rural areas of Australia. We also break it down by political affiliation as well, in terms of which political party they're likely to support. And we see consistently that with the younger generations, there is growing levels of concern for animal welfare. And now with millennials making up one of the biggest voting blocs now in Australia, politicians are just increasingly going to be compelled to be taking their concerns on board very, very seriously. So if they're engaging with politicians, their local members on these issues, then we're certainly going to see animal welfare becoming a more prominent political issue. The other interesting thing with that research was that when it comes to the breakdown between people living in cities and people living in country areas of Australia, the results showed that people in country areas of Australia actually had higher rates of support for many of the animal welfare propositions we were putting to them than people in the city.
Wow.
Only 1 or 2 percentage points higher, but it really bucked that narrative that we hear from some groups around there being some kind of city-country divide when it comes to animal welfare. What we're seeing in the research and the data is that people in the country are just as concerned about many of these animal welfare issues as people based. So that's a bit of a furphy that we now really call out with the data that we've got from Behaviour Works.
Yeah, that's interesting. I guess too, though, if people can see that, or especially in the country, can see that a change to some of their farming methods or something like that might give them longevity or make things better, they're more willing to do it anyway, do you think?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. In terms of, again, social licence, the sustainability of their industries, they do need to meet community expectations. And expectations, it's evolving. Community values towards animals are evolving. Things that were acceptable back in the 1980s wouldn't be tolerated in the 2020s. They do need to keep up with those community expectations. They've had a little bit of help and protection from the current way our animal welfare policies are created through what I mentioned earlier, the Departments of Agriculture being in charge of it. But I don't think that serves them well in the long term, and they do need to place higher regard on where the community is at in relation to animal welfare. And many practices that still take place in the livestock industries, but also in racing industries, are very much not supported by the broader mainstream populace.
Yeah.
Those issues in particular, they're very much exposed on. And again, all it needs is vision of that to be exposed nationally, and all of a sudden they've got a huge scandal and debate on their hands and may have political and regulatory intervention that could very well lead to the end of their industry. So it is absolutely in their interest to be on board with animal welfare and investing in improving standards.
You mentioned, Jed, social licence there. In in a sense, the agricultural industry and the livestock industry, etc., to be devil's advocate, traditionally have a broader social license because we, as a society, and unfortunately, we still rely on those industries fairly heavy. I've always thought that the greyhound industry always had a very narrow social license to begin with, the greyhound racing so-called sport. It was never a broadly popular thing, and it's narrowing and narrowing with each generation. I think a part of that might be that we're discovering these beautiful creatures as companions now, and they never were before. They were literally, we would watch them on a screen as commodities. That's my sense of the social license question. I don't think it was really there. But from your perspective, what sort of insights do you have? What sort of advice do you have in terms of the approach we should take in WA particularly to help push ending this sort of outdated so-called sport?
Yeah, I agree entirely, Matt, on your observations there in relation to the social licence of the greyhound racing industry. And at the end of the day, greyhounds themselves are their best ambassadors, aren't they? Anyone that comes into contact with a greyhound, and indeed the more greyhounds that are rehomed from the industry, the more advocates they're creating, grassroots advocates. So it was a bit of a double-edged sword, I think, for the industry back in 2015 when they were compelled to start investing more in rehoming activities, as efficient as they still are, of course. But the more greyhounds they were putting out into family homes, the more they were creating this grassroots movement that was going to be campaigning for and supporting the end of their industry, which is, it's quite interesting to watch. And the fact that we are where we are today with these debates going on all over the country is courtesy of the fact that we have such a strong grassroots campaign and such fantastic organisations like Free the Hounds operating in states and territories across the country. And that is I think the death knell of the greyhound racing industry is that grassroots activity will eventually lead the industry to be brought to an end. In terms of advice, wouldn't come as any surprise coming from me, but I really think investing in that political engagement piece is absolutely essential. But doing that from a grassroots perspective, I think that is extremely effective. And I know Free the Hounds does a bit of that as well, which we'll probably talk about a little bit later. But activating the community to engage directly with their local members of parliament at the state level, that's always very helpful. And doing that at politically significant times as well. And I know you've only just had an election in WA a year ago or so, but foreshadowing with those members of parliament that the greyhound advocacy groups will be active during elections as well, I think that can certainly put them on notice that this is an issue that they need to be moving on. So the more they get contacted by their local constituents about the issue, the more they're going to be open to introducing regulations that may very well bring about the end of the industry. I really like the approach also that we've seen in Tasmania of going after the public funding for the industry, because that has the potential to really appeal to both sides of politics. Because you've got people out there who might be sympathetic to animal welfare, but they're uncomfortable with the notion of governments banning things. So to appeal to those people, proposals that simply seek to withdraw taxpayer funding of the industry, that can really get them on board as well. And then you've got both sides of the political spectrum coming on board with it, as we're seeing in Tasmania with the Liberal Party proposing to essentially ban the industry there. But if legislation to ban it doesn't get through, then they're still going to be withdrawing the public funding of it. And I know there's been some great economic research also in Victoria and indeed WA as well to make that case. So I think that's a real winner, that one. But at the end of the day, nothing beats that grassroots community organising with political engagement.
Yeah, I love that. I really love that. And I want to complement that with what you said earlier, Jed, is the grassroots is where it begins, and it's where it sort of ferments and grows and spreads. But combining that with what you're doing, with what the Alliance is doing, to get those grassroots organisations together, so that voice and that political power, it's more than fertiliser for the grass. It's joining all the paddocks together and creating a land mass that can't be ignored, I guess.
Yeah, and that's the approach we take at the Alliance. We work with those groups who are doing the grassroots advocacy on the ground, and then we part of our role is also to try to build capacity as well within the broader animal protection movement for that political engagement. So we can provide strategic advice on which politicians to engage with, at what times. We can also provide political advocacy skills and advice. So we run political advocacy workshops and we have political advocacy toolkits and those sort of things. So yes, having groups like the Alliance that works with the grassroots supporters, that can be a really powerful, effective combination.
I think that's the way to go. Is you're going to squish them. You're going to squish them from the bottom and from the top. This has been fascinating, and I just want to personally thank you for dedicating your life and for realising at such a young age, well before me, that what you wanted to dedicate it to, and for choosing such a just cause. We all do stuff in life, but my favourite people are the people who speak for those who can't speak for themselves. And what you're doing is creating more voices for the voiceless. I want to finish on a positive though, Jed, if I may. We have a friend of the show, actually, don't we, Mel? She's been on the show. Mel's snacking on chocolate, Jed. She's letting me do all the legwork here.
He's such a big mouth. I came straight from work and didn't eat my lunch, so I had to eat. And then I had a
I was wondering why I wasn't hearing much from Mel.
Yeah.
I turned my microphone
now
off because I was chomping too loudly.
A friend of the show, Hannah, but regular listeners will know, she's a little star, this kid. She's extraordinary. And she's won the Young Political Advocacy Award through Australian Alliance for Animals. Can you tell us a little bit about the award and just about what's the point of the award, what you look for, how people could nominate? What are you trying to do with this wonderful award of yours?
Yeah, look, and a shout out to Hannah. When we read the nomination for Hannah, it was just, we were blown away with everything she was doing over there. I mean, collecting signatures for petitions, speaking at school groups, meeting with politicians, and all at the age of, I think, 9 years old she was when she was doing all of this and still doing this. And we were just blown away. And that really exemplified exactly the type of advocacy that the Young Political Advocacy Award seeks to promote and recognise. So it was just an absolute no-brainer when we read what Hannah had been up to. So, yeah, I mean, as the name of the award suggests, it's all about promoting and encouraging young people to get more politically active for animals, because we, of course, see that as being one of the most effective tools to progress and to represent and to really improve the way society as a whole treats and recognises animals. So, yeah, that's what the award is about. And it's a yearly award. There's a $2,000 prize that goes along with it, and that is in recognition of the fantastic work that these young advocates are doing. And it's facilitated through the Animal Justice Foundation. So they manage the awards, and then we, as an organisation, sponsor the Young Political Advocacy one. But it's, every year at the Animal Rights Forum, they're awarded, and nominations open, I think, in the latter half of the year. So if you follow the Animal Justice Foundation, then you'll see when the nominations are open. So it should be later in the year that nominations open for next year's awards, which will be presented at the Animal Rights Forum again next year. So absolutely encourage anyone who is engaged in political advocacy or knows someone who's engaged in political advocacy for animals to nominate those people, because, we really want to continue encouraging young people to get involved in the political process for animals. And Hannah, I mean, she's certainly been the youngest recipient of the award as well. Certainly highlights the young component of the Political Advocacy Award, but it's open to people right up to, I think, 30 years of age. So it's not just for children, it's also for, young adults as well.
I'm going to miss out then.
Yeah.
Mel, you might, you're going to scrape in there, love? No. I guess we're just about out of time, Jed. This has been awesome. Is there any other thoughts you have just in general on animal advocacy, on what we can do in this world and in WA and in Australia to promote that, and particularly maybe, I don't know, greyhound racing itself? Do you have any final thoughts for our listeners?
Oh, look, just the power of collaboration, because at the end of the day, the more we work together, the more power we have for animals. So really encourage all groups to, just work together with that collaborative spirit. That's one of our biggest strengths, because we're all in it for the cause of animal protection, which means that we can work together more closely in a more collaborative way than perhaps our opponents, who might very well be competitors within a particular industry, and their ability to work together in a collaborative way might be less open to them than our sector, because we're all cause-driven people and we have that common ground. Yeah, that would be my final parting words, would be for everybody to work together in pursuit of this common goal for animals.
That's a great way to finish it. The common goal, which is, for us, it's the hounds, but it's also all animals. Just have one final question. We didn't send you this one, Jed, but apparently Free the Hounds and animal advocates are just a bunch of dope-smoking hippies. Now, you have a law degree, and so I'm just wondering, Jed, were you a dope-smoking hippie back in university, or what? How did you get over that phase of, because you're an activist, so you must have been a dope-smoking hippie at some point.
I can neither confirm nor deny whether or not I was once a dope smoker.
That was one of the things I got quoted in the newspaper for recently on the morning of our hearing, or of the inquiry, and on TV, and I said, we're not all just dope smoking hippies. And of course that was the part that the ABC decided to report on.
Yeah.
So then there was a meme going around about, I don't know, about me saying it. So I think I upset the hippies, because I don't care if you're a smoke doping hippie, just don't be mean to to animals.
Yeah, well,
whatever's going to get that good media grab as well.
Oh,
I mean,
God, yeah.
I saw, you got some great coverage during the inquiry. So, well done to everyone who participated in that and went along to the hearings. You've made a big impact.
Let's hope.
Well, thank you, Jed, for making such a big impact. What I'll take away from this, the main thing is basically let's unionise for the animals. Let's collaborate. Let's get together. We are stronger together than we ever will be separately. So thank you as well for taking time out of what I'm sure is a very busy life to have a little chat with us.
Thank you very much, Matt and Mel. It's been a pleasure to speak with you, and likewise, keep up the amazing work that you're doing.
Yep, and hopefully we'll come and join you again at the next briefing or seminar when you come over.
That'd be fantastic. Yep, it shouldn't be long before I'm back over there.
That's great. We'll
Thanks, Jed.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Mel.
Brilliant, just brilliant. I love educating and informing our listeners very much.
As much as you like learning at the same time,
That's
isn't
what
it?
Yeah. This is what happens. Since I've met you and I've met these Free the Hounds people and these animal advocates, I've discovered I'm just a novice in this world. So thank you very much, Jed, for educating me and our listeners.
Yeah, no.
What do you
He's
reckon?
a really good human.
Yep.
And the part about it coming from a butcher shop,
Right.
or, that's,
Yeah.
you just can never tell.
No, and that's a message. Number one, you don't have to be stuck in your ways as an adult. You don't have to be tied to the legacy and the echo of your childhood. You can choose a new path.
Yep. And that's not to say that there was anything wrong necessarily with his childhood at all. It doesn't have to form all of you.
The basis of your entire, you can learn
forward
and grow and rise. And to the pro racers out there who do listen, thanks for listening. There's still hope for you. There's still hope, Mel, isn't there?
Yes.
To turn the tide, turn the leaf.
Turn over a new leaf.
That's the one. I knew it was something like that. Anyway, thanks for listening. It's been fun. And thanks to Jed. You're awesome. Keep listening, everyone, because we're going to be back again, unfortunately, for episode 67 soon, because we won't stop, Mel, until we release the Hounds.